The next 10 minutes will save you 5 years of trial and error on Fiverr. In this video, I'm going to show you the 5 biggest lessons I learned in 5 years on Fiverr so that you can jump your Fiverr journey 5 years forward. Because most new sellers follow this one pattern, all other sellers follow, and it makes their experience horrible. They don't have any orders, or the orders they get are inconsistent. It's because they jump into Fiverr blindly and repeat the same mistakes all new sellers do. This is information straight from a top-rated and pro seller that you will hardly find anywhere else. Hey there, super quick. I've made a free Fiverr community in school that you can join and learn completely for free how to set up your Fiverr account step by step, how to pick a profitable niche, and how to grow your Fiverr account. It's completely for free. Would be happy if you joined. Link is below the video, and now let's get back into the video. Lesson number 5 is something that even year-long Fiverr sellers don't take serious enough. And it's the number one thing that can hurt your Fiverr earnings permanently if you don't do it. And that is following Fiverr's rules. You see, Fiverr has strict rules on what you can and cannot do on the platform. And the reality is that you can get banned anytime you break those rules. I'm talking about sharing contact details such as email addresses and phone numbers with your clients above all, or opening a second account. Anytime Fiverr suspects that you might want to take communication outside of Fiverr or break any other rule, you're going to be punished for it. And most sellers aren't even aware of how severe these punishments can be. For example, I sometimes even see other top Fiverr creators break the rules when they create second accounts for tutorials, which is strictly forbidden. And I wasn't aware of how severe the punishments can be either. I have had my account temporarily suspended before when I shared my email address with clients, and it threw me back 1 or 2 months in my progress back then because I couldn't use my Fiverr account for a week and my gigs were ranking worse after I got my account back. And that's if you're lucky. If your violation was severe enough, you might get banned permanently and will lose out on all your future Fiverr earnings. On the flip side, if you do follow Fiverr's rules, you will be rewarded for it by growing and earning on the platform for years to come. You simply follow the rules by keeping communication on Fiverr at all times, acting professional with clients, and only having one account. So actually read through Fiverr's terms of service before starting and never make an exception to the rules. There will be times when you will be tempted to do so, but it's not worth it. Lesson number 4 is one thing I even see sellers with thousands of reviews not do properly at times, and they miss out on a lot of opportunities this way. That is actually optimizing your profile and gig. Optimizing your profile and gig means to check every box on how to make your gig and profile as appealing as possible to buyers. You see, Fiverr gives you a lot of opportunities to make a profile and gig stand out, and most sellers miss out on at least some of these opportunities. So when you do optimize your profile and gig, you get rewarded with ranking higher in search results, buyers clicking on your gig more and messaging you more, which ultimately turns into more orders and money for you. On the contrary, if you don't optimize your profile and gig, you will lose out on buyers that might have bought from you if you had just made a better first impression and if they could have seen your gig in the first place. There are many ways you can optimize your gig, such as writing a better gig title, creating a better gig thumbnail, or a better gig description. But there's one thing I even see top sellers not do all the time on their gigs that's costing them up to 40% of buyer engagement. And it's actually having a gig video and profile intro video. By adding a gig videos, you stand out amongst your competition and make it easy for buyers to see why your gig offers better service than other gigs. And by adding a profile intro video, you can make a personal connection with buyers, which makes it easier to close a sale. Let me show you what I mean. So let me show you what I mean with a profile intro video and a gig video. So here you can see my Fiverr profile, which is public. And as you can see on my profile picture, I have a play button, which is because I actually have a profile intro video. And what this looks like is basically a client can hover over it and then they get to see a preview of the video that's being played. And so clients can click on it and then they basically see my profile intro video where I introduce myself to the client. And it's a lot better to close clients this way because they actually get to have a personal connection with you and you also get to sell yourself and your service right away. And now the second thing that sellers often miss out on when they set up their profile and gig is profile gig videos. Now as you can see right now I have 8 different gigs that I offer And on all my gigs, you also see a play button on the thumbnail. And this is because I have a gig video. So buyers are going to see my gigs in the search rankings or like in search results on Fiverr. And then they can hover over the gig and then the video automatically starts playing without sound at first, but they can obviously activate the sound. And then they hear me talking about the gig and why they should choose my gig and what makes myself stand out. And so this is a fantastic way to basically differentiate yourself from your competitors, stand out amongst your competitors, because one thing that you are going to notice if you go into any category on Fiverr, which I'm just going to do this now to demonstrate it. Now let me just choose some category, or let me just choose my category, which is translations, as an example of what most categories on Fiverr will look like, right? So here we are in the category translation. There are 23,000 results, and let's sort them by best selling. So these are basically the best selling gigs in the translation category. And as you can see, we have all these top sellers here with like over 1,000 reviews, 800 reviews and so forth. And almost none of them have gig videos, right? This guy has a gig video, which looks very, very good. But he's pretty much the exception. And that's great for you as a new seller, because this means this is a fantastic opportunity for you to stand out with your gigs simply by creating a gig video. So in summary, improve your gig titles, thumbnails and description, but if you really want to stand out, add a gig video and profile intro video. Lesson number 3 is something that most new sellers mess up, which is why they never even get to their first order. But if you do this right, your Fiverr account will grow so much faster than that of other new sellers. And that's sacrificing your earnings in the beginning. Sacrificing your earnings in the beginning means that you intentionally offer your service below what you're worth in the beginning to get orders and reviews fast. And if you do this, it will have an amazing effect on your Fiverr account. Because as you get your first orders and collect your first 5-star reviews, Fiverr will start to rank your gig higher and show it to more buyers. And the more buyers see your gig, the more orders you will get. And the more orders you get, the more reviews you get, which will rank you even higher. So it gets easier over time to get even more orders. Then once you have established yourself with a lot of reviews, you can start raising your prices and actually get paid what you're worth. And if you don't do it this way, you will not like your experience on Fiverr. Because if you start charging high prices from the beginning, you will never be able to compete with sellers who already have hundreds of thousands of reviews, and you will never even get your first order. You won't have any progress or only very slow progress, and will earn a lot less than someone who is willing to sacrifice their short-term earnings for long-term Fiverr growth. And there are some general rules of thumb on how you do this right. And that's offering a lower price than your competition, offering more value than competitors for the same price, or delivering faster. Or ideally a combination of all of these things. If you do this right, you will be far ahead of anyone else who just starts out on Fiverr. Lesson number 2 is something super easy that I really just started doing in the last year, and it has added an additional $1,000 a month to my Fiverr earnings. And that's simply creating more gigs. Creating more gigs means that you set up more gigs for your service or category, and ideally as many gigs as Fiverr allows you to do, which depends on your seller level. For example, I am a top-rated seller, so I am allowed to create up to 30 gigs. If you are a completely new seller, you can create up to 4 gigs. And there are benefits to creating more gigs that are easier to understand if you see it from the perspective of the buyer. Let's say you are going on Fiverr and you want to have a logo designed for your company. You have a specific taste, so you want the logo to be minimalistic. You go and search for logo design and see 2 different gigs. One for logo design, the other for minimalist logo design. And let's say they have about the same number of reviews. In that case, you are going to choose the gig that offers minimalist logo design, because it fits what you were looking for a lot more than a general logo design gig. But here's the catch. There is no reason why both gigs can be offered by the same seller. And there is a right way to create several gigs for the same category. Let me show an example of what this looks like on my profile. So let me show you what it means to create several gigs for the same category by showcasing my profile, which I've already shown you before. And if you remember, I have 8 gigs in total right now, and 7 of them are for the translation niche, which I'm going to focus on now for the purposes of this video. And so if we take a look at my very first gig, this one is my main gig with almost 500 reviews. And this one says very generally that I'm translating from English to German and from German to English, right? So super generic. If somebody's looking for this translation services, they can see my main gig and text me, and then we can figure something out for them. However, in the last year I started to offer more gigs that target specific buyers within my audience, because I have so much experience in the translation niche that I kind of know what buyers are looking for. And so I created a gig specifically for website and Shopify translations. Then I created another gig for translating and localizing your apps or your code files in English and German. Then this gig is for translating legal documents. And then I have another gig for translating non-fiction books. And finally, I have a gig for translating technical manuals that I've just added this week. And then I have yet another generic translation gig, but the targets basically more low-budget buyers, because this gig starts at $5, whereas my main gig starts at $100, because this gig is a pro gig, which has to start at $100. And so you can see that basically for all these services, I'm still offering English to German translations. However, I'm targeting different needs that buyers have. And just by doing this alone, I added $1,000 in earnings per month to my Fiverr account, because a lot of buyers know specifically what they want, and they will search, for example, translate Shopify store, and then my gig will pop up. Whereas my main gig, even though it has more reviews, might not pop up, right? And this is just a way to have more eyeballs on your gigs in your category, get a more of buyers' interest, and ultimately this leads to more orders and more money for you. So by creating more gigs that speak to different buyers in your category, you will catch more buyers that otherwise would have bought from somebody else, which will ultimately earn you more money. Lesson number 1 is something that I just started doing in the last year, and has given me by far the biggest boost in my earnings so far. It's something that everyone can start doing immediately, and which will guaranteed increase your earnings. And it's following up with clients often. Following up means that you proactively text clients on Fiverr that had reached out to you and showed interest, but then did not come back to you to actually place an order. And by following up with them, you will increase your conversion rate drastically. That is, how many people who message you actually turn into buyers. Because you need to understand that for most buyers, Fiverr is not their priority. They have 1,000 other things to do in their life. By following up with them, you remind them of yourself and that you are still here to help them, which will make it easier for them to place an order with you. And there is a super simple way on how to do this, which will increase your orders and make sure that clients won't be annoyed by your follow-ups. And that's simply messaging clients 3 days after you last heard of them. This way you stay on top of their mind and you're not too pushy. And these are the 5 lessons I learned in 5 years on Fiverr. But all these 5 lessons are useless if you don't know how to implement them. And there is a free course out there that shows you everything you need to do step by step to grow on Fiverr. So check out the link below to join my free school community.